You good? All right, first of all, thanks again for everybody that came out. It was an incredible atmosphere, incredible home field advantage. Obviously, it's a tough locker room. I mean, what a football game. Incredible competitive event out there on the field tonight between both teams. So many back and forth and different guys playing roles, guys going out, guys having to step in. Came down obviously to the very end there. I told our team I love them, and it's a tough one. It's a tough one, obviously, to swallow, but we've got to move on and get ready for conference play. So. Questions?
Yeah, Justin. So you were up 29-21, and on the first play, Dex gets called for targeting. Did you see it? I don't know what you thought of that call specifically.
I didn't see it. No.
And then how much
I'm just going to say this, like, it's all reviewed, and I think our league does a really good job. I did not see it. I was talking to Jalen Holston about something else. It is difficult to play defense, and that's not in our league. That's just everywhere. It's just really hard.
And then, he's obviously the guy in the middle and communicator. How much do you miss him in that final 4 minutes in those pressure situations, especially?
Well, I mean, certainly we miss him. That's why he's a starter. But Dean filled in and did well and has played important minutes for us. We've through the first handful of games, he's been in there and early in the game and performed well. And certainly we miss a starter at any position.
Can you take us through how you juggled the quarterbacks? I mean, Braxton obviously is hurt. Were you kind of going by what trainer said than what he said when you had to go back to him when Connor was hurt? And why go to Connor over Knox? Kind of how you handled that sort of back and forth throughout the game?
Well, I mean, we were going to play Connor some. I mean, that was evident on the first drive or early in the game. Maybe it was the second drive. I can't remember. But, when we got into the injury situations, as Connor was playing, the trainer said he's good to go. So, and there was some time where we had left Connor in there. I don't know how many plays it was or whatever, and then obviously when Connor went out, Braxton went back in. Connor's played well and practiced well and deserved an opportunity. He'd been preparing well, so that's why we went to him.
Justin, you had that 4th and 1 late after Braxton had the 9-yard run where you're I think it's tied with about 2 minutes left. I'm curious, how much consideration did you possibly give to going in there, and what kind of you take into account to trying to make a decision like that?
Well, it's a tough situation. If you don't get it, I mean, you're basically handling the game. So, I gave consideration to it, but I didn't feel like it would be prudent at the time.
I know you'll want the chance to review the video, but it seemed like the defense was outstanding for 3 quarters and then maybe ran out of gas a little in the 4th. Did you get that sense at all?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't have the stat sheet in front of me, but I felt like those last couple drives were the big ones. I don't know that we ran out of gas, but, I mean, it was drop back pass every snap, and they went back to the other kid that can obviously throw the ball, and we didn't play as well obviously those last couple drives because we played pretty well, most of the game.
How about the decision to go for the 2 that, it ends up not working out, but can you walk us through kind of at the time?
It's a 1-point game and it's in the 4th quarter, it's not in the 4th quarter. There's 25 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter, so it's basically on your 4th quarter sheet. I don't know. I just it's a 1-point game. I've gone the other way before and it hasn't worked out, and we went that way. Even though we were on the 8, and it didn't work.
Justin, you mentioned Notre Dame going back to Cone late, but when they went to Buckner, I guess early to mid-second quarter, I think they got touchdowns on 3 of his first 4 drives. What challenges did he present maybe that Cone did not?
Well, I felt like he just made more plays. He made plays throwing the ball. I mean, to me, that was the key when he was in there early. The long go ball down the far boundary, and they got an empty and got it out of his hands a couple times. That coupled with his running ability is a pretty dangerous combination. And we kind of settled down there in the second half and turned him over a couple times, which obviously helped.
I'm curious about the running backs. You guys rotated a lot. Malachi Thomas, got a pretty good amount of carries. What was, the game plan with the running backs, just using 4 of them out there?
Well, Keyshawn went down. I mean, we wanted to get Keyshawn more involved, and he went down. And, Malachi we've been wanting to get Malachi in for several weeks and just really haven't been able to do it. And wanted to make a concerted effort to make sure he got some touches today.
With the 2 losses this season, both kind of heartbreakers for your guys, and you said, the locker room's tough. Is there kind of a script to try to get them up? I mean, how do you kind of approach that? Does it remain to be seen kind of how they report in 2 days, Monday for things, or like what how are you going to approach this, when it's the emotions are so high with both losses being so kind of heartbreaking?
Well, I mean, we're in the middle of, we're about to hit a long run here. So, we've got to be an emotionally stable group that can not get too high or too low. And, that sounds terrible saying right now because everybody's pretty low. But, we're finished with non-conference and we're headed into conference play now. And, we need to learn from those lessons. I think the key, and I think what happens to people, and again, I don't want to get on my soapbox here, but, when you try so hard to do something and you put forth physical effort and mental strain and sacrifice, your time, your free time, your sweat, you have this sweat equity invested in something, and then in preparation for it, and then you go out there and for 4 hours you just bust your gut to go accomplish your goal. When you've got a whole group of guys that are all in to go get this goal accomplished, and you are, within inches, within Trey Turner's outstretched hands on the hitch and go, within inches of blocking the field goal, within of 100 plays, within inches of getting it, and you don't. It hurts bad. It hurts real bad. And in my opinion, the mistake people make is the next time around, they don't try as hard. Okay, because they don't want to feel that way anymore. Okay, like they don't like that. Nobody does. I don't. Okay, but if you let that affect how you either do your job or prepare for something that you love or what you want to do, then you're cheating yourself. And in my opinion, in order to be a good man or grow into a young man, you have to handle adversity. And you cannot let the fact that things didn't work out affect the job that you do or the effort that you put into anything. If you don't get the grade that you want, studying less is not the answer. Okay? If you don't get the result you want, okay, going in the tank is not the answer. Okay? Picking yourself up and trying hard again, because in my opinion, that's what people do. They say, forget that. That hurt really, really bad. I don't want that anymore, so I'm not going to try quite as hard. that way, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't hurt quite as bad. But when you walk in that locker room right now and you see those guys, and they're hugging, telling each other they love each other, and coaches are in there crying, and you see that and you realize it's a whole group of people that have given their all, and there's still more to give. We just, because it didn't work out, we cannot let that dictate our attitude and our effort. Just like if it had worked out really well, it shouldn't dictate our attitude and our effort. We should do the very best that we can in every endeavor that we take. And that's the challenge of life. That's the challenge of football.
Justin, was Braxton injury a shoulder?
Yeah, I mean, yes, they went in and looked at it and came back and said he's sore. So
Okay.
he could throw, and like we weren't going to put him in there, obviously, if he couldn't throw it.
Right. And then, I mean, how much moxie did he show you there late? I know he's shown you some before, but, you know, the 19-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I don't even know what happened. Like, he just started running, and he just ran around the whole thing and then scored. And, you know, he is a competitor now. I mean, he is into the competition. And, you know, so is Connor. You know, like, Connor's really into that out there as well. So those guys, they showed great competitive spirit today.
I know this feels like 2 days ago at this point, but the touchdown that got pulled off the board with the ineligible guys downfield, what did you see in terms of the execution, and then also how big a moment was that?
Well, I mean, that was an RPO that ended up in a scramble, and that's just, you know, those things are going to happen sometimes, to be honest with you. I mean, if you either give the ball or pull the ball and throw the ball like it's designed, and I'm not saying it's Braxton's fault, I'm just saying then you don't have that issue. But when you don't give it and then you break contain and scramble, I mean, the timing of the whole thing's off, and you know, you leave yourself susceptible to those penalties.
And then there was sort of a weird delay before their field goal. Did you get an explanation of?
There was a flashing light. This was the explanation they gave me. There was a flashing light up in the stands that they were trying to get turned off. Or I don't know if it was I don't know. There was one light up there that wasn't just on, it was blinking. So they were trying to get it turned off.
All right, anybody else for Coach?
Justin, can you shed any insight on what happened after the game with the teams heading to the locker room?
I didn't see any. I was in the locker room. Like I didn't see anything.
Last one, David.
Silas obviously played. You guys rotated a lot up front. Parker played some. What'd you think of how your guys up front performed?
I'd have to look at the film. I mean, I thought in pass protection we were pretty decent. You know, I still think there's more in the run game there, but I mean, I would have to look at it all before I grade them out. I thought that the team we were playing was pretty good up front, but I don't know. I'm not dodging it. I just don't have a great answer for you right now. Like, I thought they competed well in terms of our technique, and we did get them out of blitz. You know, early in the game, that's what they were doing, big pressure team, and we got them out of that. But once we got them out of that, I was kind of hoping that we would be a little more effective running it.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Yep.